YouTube, what's going on? Zickety Z here again for your first ever Raw, Monday Night Raw review. Tonight, Raw took place in Houston, Texas. So we're gonna go ahead and just get right into it here. I'm gonna follow it as it went along from segment to segment on this show. So starting off, we had Big Cass cut a promo, and it was decent. I don't think it needed to lead off the show, but it wasn't a bad promo. He gets to a point where he states that nobody's on his level, and he's at the top, and there's nobody that can look him in the eye. And this leads to the Big Show coming out. The Big Show is 45 years old. He looks great. But he's 45. Why is he still on TV? He can't move that well. This is going to be a big man feud, to put that in quotations there. Why should we care? What's this? I mean, it's going to get, I guess it'll get Big Cass it'll get him a little more heat. I think that they're going to have him go over. I don't know if this will be a SummerSlam match or what this will be. They have 6 weeks. They have 6 weeks to build to SummerSlam. And I don't care for it. But Big Cass cut a good promo. And then we see the Big Show come out, and they kind of get into a scuffle. And it ends with Big Cass kind of backing out of the ring and retreating up the ramp onto the stage. Next we have Elias Samson in the ring, and he's written a song for Finn Balor. But Finn doesn't let him get too far into it. He comes out to his music and cuts him off again, like he's done the past couple of weeks. Let's go back here though. I think this could have been on the card rather than a few of the other matches. They had a good match here. It went 10 minutes, or nearly 10 minutes. The only problem I had with this match, hopefully that with this feud now being done, or at least in my opinion it should be done, there were 4 minutes of commercials. They got about a minute and a half into this match, and there was 4 minutes worth of commercials before they came back to the action. So almost half of the match was killed. Balor wins by pinfall. Coup de grace. Balor, he's going to the back. He's heading up the ramp, and the Hardys appear. And again, we see the Hardys tease the broken gimmick, and it's visible this time. You see Matt doing all of his motions and all of his actions that he did when he was in TNA. You see him doing the wonderful and the delete and all of it. He was doing all of it. And this leads Finn to do a couple of the delete motions, and they shake his hand, and Balor goes to the back, and the Hardys' music hits afterwards for their next match that they're about to have. Before this happens, the Hardys are now in the ring, and they cut a little promo here. Jeff Hardy talks about them, people in the back thinking they're old. And then he quotes, just like they did when they were broken, that they will fade away and classify themselves as obsolete. Very definitive there. It was very, very noticeable and intentional. And they talk about they didn't get it done last night, and how they need to take things to a different level to regain or recapture the Raw tag team titles. And then the club comes out, and they go on this spiel about it's not everybody in the back that's saying that you're old and that you need to go away. It's us saying it. Your magic is gone, and we're the magic killers. You guys are old. And then Matt gets on the mic, and he says, you know, we're not 100%. We're beat up. We're bruised. We're stitched up. And he points to his eye that had been cut open. And he says, and we're a little bit broken. And he kind of gives a pause and does his face and does the hand gestures. And then he says, but we can get a ref down here right now and fight. And so they have a match. It goes almost 7 minutes. And the club wins with a magic killer after Luke Gallows hits a big boot. They followed up with a magic killer and get the victory by pinfall. Immediately following the match, as the Hardys are laid to waste on the mat, the Revival runs past Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, and they proceed to go into the ring and hit the Hardys a few times. They beat them up a little bit more, and you hear Scott Dawson say, "This is ours now," and then I think they hit one of them with a shatter machine, and then they walk off. So, you know, I think that's ultimately going to lead to the Revival breaking the Hardys here, and I think that's a good thing. I think the Hardys need to be broken. Matt's much better with that with the broken gimmick rather than the Matt Hardy 2.0 or the Team Extreme Hardys gimmick. I think he's better off with the broken gimmick. I'm not sure if they came to a settlement with Anthem, but it definitely seems that way. Hopefully I'll hear some news in the upcoming days and weeks, and I'll have more information to give you guys. So moving on here, let me find the next place in my notes. Okay, next up, we have a Miz TV segment where Miz TV presents the Mizzies, where Miz goes on to talk about the Grammys and the ESPYs and all of these TV award shows, and he gives out 4 awards, or 3 awards. He gives one to the best supporting cast in Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, which leads to the crowd chanting, "You deserve it." And then we have the Miz he goes on to say these are third-generation wrestlers that were underutilized, and now they're superstars because they're with me. And then we get he gives an award to Maurice for being the most beautiful, sexy woman in the company, and he gives her an award, and then he gives himself an award for being the biggest and best superstar in the WWE. But he makes a joke here. He opens up the envelope, and when he says, and the winner is, he says Dean Ambrose, and then he laughs and says he's just kidding. And so this leads to Ambrose coming out. He attacks The Miz, and then the Miztourage kind of takes over, and Rollins comes out his aid after Miz had made some comments about Ambrose not winning the title when he said he would, and Rollins saying he would beat Wyatt, and Akira Tozawa saying he would dethrone Neville. He made comments about these guys, and this angered Rollins, so Rollins comes out to the aid of Ambrose, and Miz and his Miztourage, they flee. They get out of the ring and they disappear. So then, moving on, we see a little backstage segment, which I'll also talk about later on in the show. We see a backstage segment with Ambrose running up on Rollins in the back and saying, "Hey, I don't like you. I don't trust you. You handle your business and I'll handle mine. Stay out of my way and I'll stay out of yours," kind of deal. And that was that. Next, we have Sasha Banks and Bayley versus Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax in a tag team match. This match went almost 10 minutes. Alexa Bliss hit a Twisted Bliss, went for the cover. Sasha broke it up. This led to all four members getting in the ring. There was a little breakdown. Nia Jax throws Sasha outside onto the floor, where she goes to run into the barricade and squash Sasha. She misses. Then we kind of pan back with the camera back into the ring to see Bayley roll up Alexa for the pinfall victory. So Bayley gets a pinfall victory over the Raw Women's Champion Alexa. It was a decent match. I'm not going to say it was great by any means. There was a couple decent spots in it. But it was a women's tag match. Nothing special. Then a few things to highlight here. We have throughout the show they're hyping up this segment that's going to happen later on, where Kurt Angle is going to give us an update on Braun Strowman after what happened last night at Great Balls of Fire. We see segments throughout where they say he's going to come out and give an update on the current status of Braun. And then we go to commercial, and we see the reveal of the WWE 2K18 Kurt Angle commercial. He's going to be one of the pre-order characters that you get. Great commercial. You see the kind of aftermath of what Rollins did in the original release commercial, and then you see this guy in a hoodie with the hood up, kind of walking through the rubble, and he kind of digs through the rubble and he finds one of his boots. And so Kurt Angle finds one of his boots, and then you see the anger kind of come over his face, and then you see that Kurt Angle is going to be one of the characters you get if you pre-order the game. Now, these commercials are freaking great. These cinematic commercials that they did. The one with Rollins was fantastic. You see him just destroying and burning up all of this legendary equipment and gear and merchandise and memorabilia from all these former superstars. And it's great. It's great. And this one was just as good. So now we're back to the next segment here. Goldust cuts a promo at one point earlier on, and now he's back. He's out in the ring. R-Truth is back out by himself doing his whole spiel. They had a match. It was 5 minutes long. Goldust wins by pinfall. It was boring. The crowd was dead. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to see it. Get it off my TV. Don't mean to steal from JD there, but it's awful. I don't care about it. Now we get into the decent stuff. We get to Brock Lesnar coming out. I think that's where we're going here. Yeah. Lesnar and Heyman come out. They're going to give their promo after Lesnar retained at Great Balls of Fire. Kurt Angle comes out as well. Actually, it starts out with Kurt Angle coming to the ring, and then he introduces Lesnar. He makes mention of Braun. Doesn't really give an update. He doesn't say how long he'll be out. This leads to an exchange between Heyman and Kurt, where Kurt, he's talking to Lesnar and Heyman about where what idea he'd like to pitch for Lesnar at SummerSlam. And Heyman makes the comments about he doesn't care. He's not here in the middle of the ring to have a creative meeting in the middle of the ring. And so they have kind of a little exchange there. This is followed up by Roman Reigns coming to the ring, and Kurt makes the comments that you got a lot of nerve coming out here after Roman says he thinks he deserves a title shot at SummerSlam. And you see Roman go face to face with Reigns, or you see Roman go face to face with Lesnar, and Kurt says you got a lot of nerve coming out here and ask him for that after what you did last night to Braun following their match. And Roman says, you should thank me because you couldn't handle Braun. You couldn't figure out how to handle that situation. And then he looks at Lesnar and he says, and you're never around to. So he's kind of taking some shots at both Kurt and at Lesnar here. To me, it was very much heelish. So maybe the rumors of him turning heel are true. Maybe he's just they're gonna treat him as a babyface and treat him as the he's very Cena-esque in the fact that he can have heelish tactics, but he's a babyface. They want to push him as the face of the company. So hopefully we'll get some more clarification in the upcoming weeks. Then Lesnar says to Roman, you don't deserve shit. And then he makes mention that this is as close as you're going to get to the title. And enter Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's music hits, and he walks out. And as he's walking down the ramp, he says, you guys are all living in a wonderland, a wonderful fantasy land, but I'm here to drag you back to reality. And you hear Lesnar say, the only reality is that I kicked your ass last night. Lesnar retorts back with, you didn't beat me, you escaped me. And then he says to Roman, as far as you go, you've never beat me. And then he goes back to Lesnar, and they have a heated exchange. They're going eye to eye. At one point, they go forehead to forehead here. They're staring each other down, and he's going on a tirade. And Lesnar looks away, and Joe stops his promo, and he says, you look at me. And then he says, you know for a fact, Heyman knows deep down in the bottom of his heart, in the bottom of his soul, that I have your number, and I deserve another shot at the belt. And so Kurt Angle kind of intervenes here, and I was hoping to see Braun kind of come out and appear at the top of the ramp. That didn't happen, and Angle pitches his idea and makes it so. Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe will face off next week on Raw in a number one contenders match. This now leads to a backstage segment after Angle walks away. Oh, let me go back here. Samoa Joe and Roman kind of go at it here again. They have some words with each other, and before Angle schedules the match, he says, if you guys fight tonight, then I'm going to throw the match away and you guys won't have a shot at the title. So think about SummerSlam, think about this, don't waste an opportunity here. And he schedules the match, and Angle walks off to the back. And then we pan over to the announce desk, and Graves and Michael Cole and Booker T are kind of talking about what's coming up next on the show. And Graves gets up and walks away after he receives a text message. And this leads to Angle and Graves having a conversation here where Angle's saying things like, this is going to ruin my family and my career, possibly. And so he says he's going to go public with everything that's going on, and the secret thing that's going on. He's going to go public with it next week on Raw. Next up, we have Akira Tozawa and Cedric Alexander in a tag team match against Noam Dar and Neville. This match went almost 10 minutes. Who cares? The only thing that's notable here is we see the reverse of what happened last night during the pre-show. Neville ends up on the top rope. He gets crotched on the top rope, and Alexander's in the ring. He makes a tag to Tozawa, and it's long and drawn out. Alexander hits a suicide dive out of the ring and takes out Noam Dar, who he's feuding with on 205 Live over Alicia Fox. Who cares? And so Tozawa kicks the rope, goes to the top rope, hits a top rope senton bomb, wins by pinfall. Moving on. Main event of the evening, we have Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins in a rematch from last night. This match went almost 17 minutes, and they played up the eye. They played up the eye again. Last night, you see Wyatt. You see Wyatt thumb Rollins in the eye and then hit his sister Abigail. Same thing happened here. Rollins takes another shot to the eye. Rollins takes another shot to the eye. Wyatt headbutts him and then hits his sister Abigail. 17 minutes long. It was a good match. Nothing special. It was basically the same thing, just a little bit more. It was extended a couple minutes. It was a good match. Nothing special. Wyatt's little theme hits with the little scream in the face and all that. Arena goes black. Lights pop back on. Wyatt's gone. From the corner of the arena, we have the Miztourage come back out. And they surround the ring, and they proceed to beat up on Rollins. Rollins is getting beat up, trying to protect his eye. Ambrose comes out with a steel chair to make the save. Goes against his word from the earlier backstage segment. Like I said, he told him to mind his own business, and I'll handle mine, you handle yours. Rollins gets saved by Ambrose here. This is at the 11 o'clock hour, so the show's practically over. We go to a backstage segment where it shows Kurt Angle on the phone with somebody. And at first, when he's talking on the phone, he tells whoever it is that he's talking to, I'm going to go public with it live next week, and I think you should be here. And my first thoughts are great. Stephanie McMahon's going to come back. But then the end of the conversation comes, and he says he's proud of whoever this person is, and then he ends the phone call with, "I love you." So maybe it's an affair with one of the female superstars on the roster. Maybe not. That's where I think it's leading to. I don't know who it is. Maybe it's Dana Brooke. I think that's what it's got to be, because in the pre-show for Great Balls of Fire, we see Emma show up at the announce desk where the panel's talking, and she's like, "You gotta come with me," and then she walks off. So I think that's where they're heading with this. I don't get it. I don't think Dana Brooke deserves a push right now. She's kind of cringe, especially with her history, being a goon for Charlotte. I don't know. I think that's where they're going, though. So maybe we see Dana Brooke get a push. And that wraps up the show. So we have the Hardys again teasing being broken. I think they're right on the verge of it, and I think that the Revival is going to be the one ultimately to break them, and I think that's good. I think we'll see with Sheamus going away to film his movie. I think that's what we're going to see. We'll see the Hardys regain the titles, and then they'll be broken, and then it'll be the Hardys and the Revival at SummerSlam. I think that's the best case scenario here. And again, going back to the Lesnar, Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns, Kurt Angle segment. Where does Braun Strowman fit into this? Do we see him show up next week? Does he show up next week during the number one contenders match and break it up? I certainly think so. I think that's what it's got to be. I think we got to have an elimination style fatal 4-way at SummerSlam. I think that's the best case scenario. Give these guys 30, 40 minutes to go out and work. Probably in the main event. And we let these guys put on a show. Let it be a very, very physical match all throughout. Let all the guys get their stuff in. Tease Joe making Lesnar tap. Tease that. Maybe make it happen. You know, maybe Lesnar's the first one that's defeated after 20 minutes in, or whatever it is. Let him get knocked out and let these other three guys go at it. And then have Lesnar show up later on in the year, closer to WrestleMania. I don't think he needs to win the Rumble and be in the main event for the Universal Championship, but maybe that's what we get with him and Roman. I don't like it. I don't care for it. I don't want to see it. But with Vince's thinking, as far as I know, the last I knew, that was still the plan. So I think that's what it's got to be. Braun's got to show up next week or the week after and plead his case. You know, I won the ambulance match. Why am I not being considered here? Why am I not being considered here? So that's going to wrap things up. This has been my first Monday Night Raw review for July 10th, 2017, live from Houston, Texas. I'm gonna do a review tomorrow of SmackDown, and then I'm gonna push out some other gameplay content as well. You'll see another Call of Duty with Friends video and some more my story or my career on WWE 2K17. You'll see that tomorrow as well. I'm going to put in some work tonight, get some stuff recorded, and then get it pushed out tomorrow at some point during the day. And then I'm going to be going away on training. Like I mentioned in one of my earlier videos, I'm going to be gone for about a month. So I'm not going to be able to push out content. I'm going to miss Battleground. I'm not going to be doing... I may do a preview and predictions, but I won't be able to give a review and results on that pay-per-view. But I will be back for SummerSlam. I'll be back in time for SummerSlam, and hopefully once I get back, I'll push you guys out even more content, and I'll get myself back on track. This is going to be a difficult time for me while I'm gone on the training. I'm not going to have much access to anything. I'm not going to have a lot of communication. So, if that's what you do, I'm not pushing my beliefs on you, but if you pray, if you believe in God, send your prayers and some love to me. I'd really appreciate it. And I'll get back to you guys as soon as I can. So with all that being said, this is Zickety Z, and I'm signing off for the night. Y'all take care.